And here's another great question, and this again is to heal all the memories. You know, when you go after a goal, what happens? You've got your constructive consciousness, the degree that you've got it, you know, your tools that you have acquired, but then there's also the stuff you haven't worked out. So the stuff comes up as an opportunity for us to heal it on the way to the goal. All right? So one thing you can say to advance your mind, to know what the good, the kingdom that you should be expecting for yourself is, if all I ever experienced in my life was love, let's just say for a moment that I never experienced any of the whatever I think I experienced, okay? If all I ever experienced in my life was love, what would I be expecting here? This is a powerful question, and will lead you right to what you should be expecting for yourself if you know your God and you live by God. All right? Don't forget, we're getting over a lot of these theories of punishment, hardship, it's good to suffer. There's a lot of that, you know, density that rummages around in there, and that, you know, causes the conflict. So these questions raise our minds out of the influence of that, and we bring our minds back into the influence of the sun, the radiance of God, which is love. All right? So I love that question. And another way to say it is, if God, suppose you brought your request, whatever, you know, you go to your employer, going for, you know, you want a raise, and so you go to your employer, you want a raise. And so, you know, before we're thinking, well, you know, I wonder if I'll get it, and, you know, maybe they'll be in a good mood today, and, you know, all of this victim thinking. But supposing I say to myself, well, if all I ever knew was love, what would I be expecting? If God was on the other end, which in fact God is, as the universal mind of my request, if only God, love, was responding to me, what would my answer be? Now think about this. If only the utmost sublime essence of love, beyond our conception now, was responding to me, what would the answer be? And this is what we have, then we start affirming. Once we get it, you know, we start affirming it as so, we start our gratitude and so on, visioning it, all these things. Now, what does the Father, Mother know for me here, in my situation that I'm in right now? What does God, the Great Father, Mother, whatever you call it, know for me here? Well, of course you shall have it. Of course you shall make it. Of course. Know and desire the Father's will. You know, because of the negativity of religion, some aspects of religion, we've gotten into thinking that the will must be denial. You know, and that, remember we said last week that it's completely false. So, what does the Father know for me here? What does, you know, infinite love want for me here? And these are ways of accessing that vision, okay? The ways and means. All right, so we want to get rid of, also this helps you to get rid of those insidious ideas of opposition, where that, you know, somebody or something is saying no to you, and realize that the universe, which is God's mind, the universal mind, always says yes. You say to the mind, which, you know, I am a failure. It says, yes, you are a failure. You know, say, I'm a success. Yes, you are a success. I'm clumsy. Yes, you are clumsy. I am elegant. Yes, you are elegant. So it's a yes system because the responsive mechanism, the creative mechanism, does not argue. It doesn't say, oh, I'm busy now. It's an automatic thing that's always going on, always responding to the leading thought, to your thought. So the universe says yes to me. I live in a yes system. Now this is something, because we've thought of opposition for so long. And we've been told and therefore put our attention, we look for it, and we put our attention there. And by the law, what my attention is on, I become. So think of this, amazing distortion that has separated so many persons and caused such great suffering for so many persons being apart from their good, right? So none of us do that with our friends. We say, I know thou shalt have in perfect right way. Oh yes, you will have it. Of course. We do not perpetuate that lie. It's a lie anymore. Okay? Alright, so the ways and means also we realize are, since God knows that the mind is infinitely creative, it can devise whatever ways and means that are most harmonious. It's all thought, ways and means possible, infinitely intelligent. So the ways and means of unfoldment, perfect right unfoldment is what we say, the idea of good unfolds in perfect right ways. The ways and means of perfection and harmony, the highest is the nearest, the divine path of unfoldment is already in the idea. So I don't have to worry how. Remember I sent my servant to take whatever to the laundry, and I don't call him down the street and say, are you doing a good job, and how are you doing that? I know I have put in my request and it is being done to perfection in the way that he or she knows how to do it, right? So this is the attitude. We should have such a free attitude. We know God is love. We know this created mind is a gift of God, God's self to us to create. What is in our mind? So this mind, we have this feeling, knows how, and the ways and means are already there. The roads and the seas, the ways and means of perfect unfoldment are there. And then I just follow, in a consistent calmness and peace, right action. What can I do? Acting as if, if I need to pick up a telephone, make a phone call, I do whatever is reasonable right action. But I have no anxiety around it because I am not the doer. I am not the doer. And we say there is only one thinker, God. There is only one doer, God. And there is only one thing manifest, God. Okay? Before, during, and after. Only. So God in me. God is a person out there with the force, the energy, the intelligence in me. The perfection, God, is the only doer and the only thing manifest in my life. Not I of myself. As like Emerson, the great poet, said, get your bloated nothingness out of the way. That's what they mean when they say out of the way. Let go of the sense that you have to do it, but that it is being done for you. You supply the acknowledgement, you supply the vision, you supply the faith, you supply right thinking and so on, and let God do. Let this infinite capacity do for you. Prosperity. We don't want to repeat anything from yesterday. You know how sometimes, if you really want to get in touch with infinite prosperity, you must realize that God is ever new spirit, ever new. Creation goes on now, not yesterday. Creation is now. God is evolutionary spirit, always wanting to express the greater, the better, the more. This is the nature, living in the now. So We should raise our horizons of good, you know, to limitless, raise, you know, most of us carry around, Stuart Wilde says this, we carry around within us, well, this is like the utmost good that can happen to me. If I have that, then I'm in heaven. That's enough, okay? So we have a feeling of the greatest good that can happen. We have our bottom line like the worst that can happen. Now what we do is we expand our horizons into the limitless possibility for me, right? The limitless possibility. So as great as that thing of yesterday was, as wonderful as it was, God, I am so conscious of how prosperous this system is, I can release that completely for the good, greater good now. So we expand our horizon and, you know, keep expanding upon your ideas of good. And greatest good can happen to me. Infinitely great good. Greater good, I like to say often, than I had ever experienced before. Now happens to me. Than I had ever experienced before. And I say that often. Because God doesn't run, you know, really. Only we do. God is a new movie. Things are happening, like it's happening. So expand your horizon and be available. How? By willing to even leave the good you have now. So Bible says, you are not free. Sometimes we pray for a thing and it comes. You know, someone comes along and says, well, can you come, you know, go speak in marriage? You say, oh, well, gee, I can't now. I mean, I planned this and I planned that. And we just completely say no right then and there instead of allowing, being able to release on the spot even the good that we have if we resonate with this idea and to be able to respond. Because that is God, you know, the greater thing happening. We want to have that flowing. And this is a prosperous way to live. So be sure that you're not turning down opportunity when enough, and watch the resistance. It's the inertia of habit to say, well, no, not right now, you know. Try responding. Yeah, okay, let me try this out. Greater, I make the way for greater good than ever before to happen for me. Okay? Be happy, be buoyant, and be free. You know, spirit is not stuck in routines or forms. Spirit is free. Uses forms, routines, habits for a while, and then, you know, expands the concept. And that is us. All right, so only one creator, only one doer, only one thing manifests. I say often, God is the only thing manifests in my life. By my word it is so. By my word it is so. Exercise your power of release, your prosperous power of release to prosper. As we know, freeing the past and so on, but being open to the present. And being open to things that are not what you thought. Give things a chance that do not take the form that you thought they might. Be free. Okay? Power. And let God do. I let the great creative power, that which can do all, do it for me. Thank you. I trust to that infinite power to bring all here to me. All right, there's great power establishing harmony in our thoughts. And later on we will do this. But remember, when you're creating anything, this is part of the laws of creation, there must be such a strong vision of harmony everywhere. Everyone prospering. All good everywhere happening. Limitless good, joy itself happening. This process is fulfilling the circle, fulfilling the law of love. So we want our creative ideas and actions to fulfill the divine laws of love. All right? Power of prophecy, creative love. Power of prophecy, Kevin kind of talked about this, picturing. Now, again, we talk about vision, picturing, and I don't know what, you know, all of these, by the way, are in the Bible. You know, the success stories of the Bible tell us, reveal these things to us. And in the Bible, and I forgot which one it was, but he had, gone through several experiences, and promises were not kept, and lands were stolen, and so on. And he just maintained consciousness that all things are coming right, and be turned to good. And he finally was given, I could feel, a cow, a herd of cows. And these, to have spots on the cows was like the thing. That was value at that time. The cows had no spots. No spots. Right? So that would relate to, not a good herd. Not valuable. So what he did, knowing this law of picturing, he envisioned the cows with spots. With spots. And the cows then, began to have spots. So through your vision, you can vision the thing through by visioning as you would like it to be. He didn't go to the cows and try to paint them or, didn't do anything with the cows. He just envisioned it without doing anything to manipulate the cows. Okay? So there was response. Everything, Deepak Chopra, all the scientists, all the mystics, we all know, everything is living energy and intelligence. So the intelligence within the cow responds to the intelligence and the good intention, of the person and produces a spot. And so visioning brought it through. Power of prophecy, your word, again, your word going to be great. Like I said, this will, be greater than anything that's ever happened. And so it will be, right? Today, I was looking for an easel, to be able to put a picture out here. And I think I asked Maria yesterday, and I kind of released it. I just said, well, it's going to work out. It took some action and just released it. Sure enough, today, one of my students, this I heard, very surprised for you, her mother had given her an easel, right? So there I had the easel that I need, power of release. And my power of prophecy, it'll be okay. It'll work out. It will work out. I've done enough action about it, and I knew just to release and come. All right. Another thing, great to ask yourself. During the creative process, what happens to most people is they're clear, they're buoyant, they're joyous, they know what they want at the beginning, they have all the energy of a child, and then things happen. And what happens is a story gets in there. A story. The stories come. So did this to me, that happened to me. And we begin to play the story and to forget about our goal. And my question to you is where do you get lost? Where do you have a tendency to get lost in your story? Your story. Well, I tried, but, it's the point where we've abandoned our vision and given the power out there. And we give the power to the story rather than to our vision. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we have to release giving power to the story. And we must adjust constantly. That's what I say, daily meditate on your vision of good. Daily contemplate the divine ideal for you. Because that's you readjusting and not slipping down into the story. So we have to build up again our will to not go do what we did yesterday, because we know if we continue doing what we did yesterday, we're going to have the same thing we had yesterday. So many people let the story become their goal. Let suddenly become now their goal and the story of their life. So only you can know. But, when you ask yourself these questions, realize this. Once realization or recognition, oh yeah, I do that, I see that I do that, is your first step to freedom. Because then you have choice again. You've given yourself a choice, and you can change the direction. You can change your future by changing now. So it is good to do not criticize yourself or get into any of that stuff. That's not what it's about. It's about us being able to perform right surgery so that we can enjoy our lives, right? So what story do you get lost in? And another question is, what approval, control, or wanting approval or wanting control issues get in your way? And if you didn't have, again going back to what we said before, if you didn't have that issue, those approval control issues, and you didn't have that story, what would be going on? What would be going on? Now, another practice visioning, having it now. Very key to living in the now. God or creativity is now. It's going on now. All of infinite potential is available now. And yet we weaken our position of living in the now and in the now by thinking of tomorrow, yesterday. Every time our mind is traveling, and we're not in charge of our mental household, we are weakening. So we metaphysicians know to practice visioning, receiving in the now. Why? And when I say now, I mean just as you are. Like if you're dressed and you're going to bed, you say, you practice seeing yourself receiving, you're good in your pajamas or your nightgown or whatever, in the now, no matter what. In the now, no matter what. Why? Because this will stop the tendency of the mind to futurize. Say, well, when I look better, when this happens, when I have more money, when then I can let myself have it. So to counter that and to realize that you are the one who literally, unknowingly, is pushing your good into the future. And good tomorrow is always good tomorrow. My father used to say, someday your ship will come in. And he's a sweetheart, right? Many ships have come in for me, actually. But he used to say, someday your ship will come. And I said, once I got into the teacher, I said, Dad, it has come. It's in port. Because I didn't want to perpetuate. Even though he was saying that lovingly, he was still perpetuating an idea of future. It's in the future somewhere. It's not now. See what happens? So God would give us now, because God is now, and God can only be now. So to cure ourselves of futurizing, postponing, putting things in the way, oh, well, no, I can't have the love of my life come in now because, I have to lose weight. Whatever it might be. Heal all of that so you get used to, accustomed to receiving in your mind's eye in the now. All right, vision having it now just as you are. Ask what do I put in the way, and it will be revealed to you once you start finding vision in the now and heal it. Okay, let me just summarize this. So in creating, we define what we want, we choose what we want, we recognize, next step, recognize what is available to us. Since we know we're working with limitless mind, what is available to us? We sustain and nurture the idea of our good by not getting excited, maintaining the vision every day, gently coming back to it, putting yourself in it, acting as if, not getting into doubt or fear, just saying that perfect mind, listen, creative world, no problem when I need. Sustain and nurture, don't get lost or distracted in stories, choose the highest and best, harmonize with all around you, and act as if it is now. Seek the open door. Emerson says, my good flows to me through the open door. And I can know when I'm on the right track, when I'm not, my line of affinity, because there's harmony and the door is open. Okay? So don't worry about the doors that aren't open. Seek the open door. Where you tend to give your power away, ask yourself, who am I putting above me? Who or what? Where you tend to give your power away, make a new decision. Say to yourself, next time I find myself giving my power away, I am going to keep my power. You know, however it's you, but make a new decision, establish a new pattern. Breathe in the principle, like we did in the beginning. Breathe in the substance of what you need. Choose a line with harmony, harmonious thoughts, constructive thoughts. You know, thoughts of God, those are the thoughts of truth. Align yours there. A very interesting thing in just seeing what goes on with you. You don't have to do it now, but you can do this at home. Like a financial biorhythm chart or a prosperity biorhythms chart, I'd like you to do your lifeline and see when are the periods when, let's say, prosperity in whatever form you're working on was good for you. When did it seem to be going down? What was prevalent? Again, this is the idea of building success, the stable success and prosperity consciousness. What things were going on at those times where you were succeeding the most, prospering the most? What were you doing? And you might get some very deep insight into a way that really works for you. Okay? You will get revelations if you will do this. All right? And another question is, go into your childhood. And no, not stay there, please. Okay? But take a look at it. Review your childhood and ask, what were my childhood patterns regarding money, regarding prosperity? What were the childhood patterns? And am I repeating any of those now? Am I repeating any of those now? And if you find that you are, I know I got a revelation, and I'm pretty clear. I got a revelation on something where I was always taught that I had to wait. And this is not a criticism of my parents at all. But, you know, I was taught I had to wait, that I had to wait. And so very often, you know, we talk about the need to know God as your good now, all available now. You know, there's no limitation, so it's all available to everyone now. But in the subconscious, if you have a pattern of being used to waiting, then you may accept the idea I have to wait. It gets interpreted in your life. So the instant I released that, actually, and saw that, is when the easel came. And several other things came, you know. So these things do work, and it's really not so much we have to do anything out there, we just have to heal the layers of the subconscious, okay? So, am I repeating? What was the typical pattern? And do I feel like I'm repeating it now? Is anything familiar? Then how can I change that through a higher recognition of truth about God or the nature of money? Okay. What does financial heaven look like? We talked about heaven to earth. So realize, you know, you are individualizing right this very minute. You're awakening and individualizing into a more perfected state of being. Therefore, all the conditions around you shall be perfected. So, ask again, what does financial heaven look like to me? What would that be? And realize that as you release the stuff and get in alignment, that is where you're going. That is really you. That is really you. Okay? So what are you leaving behind? What does financial heaven or relationship heaven or whatever, that's the heaven perfect mind, look like to me? And declare I am individualizing into that perfected state now in greater and greater degrees. What am I leaving behind me, and what does the new space look like? What am I leaving behind me? What am I eliminating? What does the new space look like? What am I moving into? Like moving into an expanded home, right? Another prosperity idea. God meant it for good, for my prosperity, specifically, because we're working on prosperity, use that word. God meant it for my prosperity. God means it for my prosperity, okay? And there is a divine plan is working behind all things that are going on in your life now, and they are all for your prosperous increase. Prosperous increase. I'm going to tell you a story, because Dorothy asked me to tell some stories that will really illustrate this. How we must always know that God, or the law, means this for good, means this for good. In this case, our mantra during all this is it's meant for my prosperity. It's meant for my prosperity. Get that? Not my loss, not my lack, not my, it is meant for my prosperity. And the trick that metaphysicians know, it's not a trick, it's the alchemy really, is that we change the appearance. Let's say there's an appearance of lack. So we say, we go to the opposite, which we call the divine condition. We know in the divine condition there's no lack. So we never say that's meant for my lack. That's meant to diminish me. We say this is meant to increase me. This is meant for my increase. Not only for my good, we take it incrementally to the spiritual opposite, like a magnet. Mind, all it is mind. And like we said, it's electricity, so I can plug into the negative socket, I can plug into the positive. So you need to plug in as positive a socket that you can think of to balance and bring the negative to its polar opposite. So we live beyond appearances, and we rule matter by changing, by having the higher idea.